Welcome back, focused learners. Today, we're shifting our entire mindset. We're moving away from that beginner's goal of building applications that just work under perfect conditions, and we're stepping right into the deep end of enterprise architecture. Our mission in this explainer? To figure out exactly how top-tier teams engineer massive systems that are specifically designed to survive failure.
Let's just dive right into the core thesis here. Reliable applications are not reliable because nothing ever goes wrong. They assume failure is normal. When you're building a small side project, it's really easy to just code the happy path. You assume your database is lightning fast, your network is flawless, and your users never, ever double-click. But in a real enterprise application, man, that assumption is incredibly dangerous. The absolute best engineering teams out there design for the failure path right from day one.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're looking at 1. When failure is normal. 2. Core patterns of defense. 3. Protecting the broader system. 4. Observability and safe deployments. And finally, designing a reliable platform. All right, let's kick things off with section 1. When failure is normal. Listen, production environments are absolute chaos. Networks fail. Databases slow down to a crawl. APIs time out. Servers just crash out of nowhere. Traffic spikes hit you when you least expect them. And yes, deployments absolutely introduce bugs. If your application code assumes every single operation is going to succeed, well, a single slow database query is going to snowball into a massive, system-wide incident. Perfect conditions literally do not exist in the wild.
It is absolutely crucial to understand the distinction here. Reliability versus availability. They are definitely not the same thing. Availability is just asking, can users access the system? But reliability? That asks, does the system actually work correctly when they do? Think about an online payment system for a second. If the site loads perfectly, but it charges your credit card twice, well, it's available for sure, but it is definitely not reliable. Good engineering has to focus on both availability and correctness, hand in hand.
Moving right along to section 2, core patterns of defense.
Our very first line of defense is the timeout. Basically, a timeout defines the absolute maximum amount of time a system will wait for an operation before just throwing its hands up and giving up. Without timeouts, waiting forever for a failing dependency, say a sluggish payment provider, is a classic rookie mistake. It blocks your threads, it eats up all your server resources, and eventually it freezes the entire checkout process for everyone. Bottom line, no production system should ever wait forever.
So what exactly do you do when that timeout hits? Naturally, you retry. But you can't just retry aggressively. If you do that, you trigger a retry storm that will absolutely crush an already struggling service. Instead, we use what's called exponential backoff. You wait 100 milliseconds, then 500, then 2 seconds, then 10 seconds. Oh, and we also toss in something called jitter. That's just a little bit of randomness so that not every single client is trying to hammer the server at the exact same millisecond.
Now, you really can't safely retry operations without this next concept, idempotency. Basically, this means an operation can be safely performed multiple times with the exact same result as just doing it once. Picture an enterprise learning platform. A student loses their internet connection for a second and angrily clicks pay twice. If your system uses an idempotency key tied to that specific transaction, it instantly recognizes the duplicate request and guarantees that the student is only charged once. It's a total lifesaver.
But what if a service fails over and over again? Retrying isn't going to help you there. That is where the circuit breaker comes in. We borrowed this directly from electrical engineering. This pattern constantly monitors a dependency, like say a course recommendation engine. If the failures cross a certain threshold, the circuit opens and completely cuts off calls to that failing engine to stop cascading damage. After a bit, it lets a few tiny test requests through. If those actually succeed, it closes the circuit back up and normal traffic resumes.
And while that circuit is open, we desperately need fallbacks and graceful degradation. This just means we provide safe alternatives to keep our critical workflows alive. So if our super-personalized AI recommendation engine fails, graceful degradation means we don't just crash the whole homepage. Instead, we fall back to showing a static list of popular courses. Sure, we lose a little bit of fancy functionality, but the core business keeps running smoothly.
Let's zoom out a bit for section 3, protecting the broader system.
Have you ever wondered why massive ships are built with separate watertight compartments? It's the bulkhead pattern. If one compartment floods, the entire ship doesn't go down with it. Well, in software, we do the exact same thing by isolating system resources. Think about it. A massive spike in heavy, end-of-month corporate report generation shouldn't ever be allowed to hog all the server resources you need to process immediate student payments. By keeping those resources strictly separate, one overloaded area doesn't sink your whole application.
To prevent a total system collapse during some massive unexpected spike in demand, we rely on 3 heavy-hitting macro defenses. First, rate limiting. This protects systems from abuse by capping the number of requests per user. Next up is back pressure. This is essentially the system's way of screaming "slow down" to the upstream intake when it's getting overwhelmed, rather than just blindly accepting unlimited work until it crashes. And finally, queues. These decouple heavy, time-consuming tasks like generating a complex PDF certificate, letting the system process it in the background so the user isn't stuck staring at a spinning loading screen.
All right, moving into Section 4, Observability and Safe Deployments.
Look, reliability engineering is just absolute guesswork without observability. You literally cannot fix what you cannot see. We rely heavily on logs for the nitty-gritty event details, metrics to spot numerical trends like CPU usage or latency spikes, and traces to track a single request as it bounces around across different microservices. But what's the actual end goal here? Well, that's defined by your SLOs, service-level objectives. An SLO sets a hard, measurable target. Something like 99.9% of logins will succeed in under 500 milliseconds. That explicitly defines what reliable actually means for your specific team.
And since, let's be honest, so many outages are caused directly by deploying new code, we have to release that code safely. Enter canary deployments. You don't just flip a giant switch and push the update to everyone at once. No way. You release the new version to a tiny percentage of users first, you monitor all those vital metrics we just talked about, and if everything looks healthy, you gradually increase the traffic. If errors start spiking, the system automatically stops and rolls it back. Releasing code carefully is every bit as vital as writing it carefully in the first place.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Designing a Reliable Platform.
Let's bring all this together and see how a real enterprise learning platform handles the failure path in practice. For payment processing, we rely on idempotency and timeouts to prevent double charges and those awful frozen checkouts. Course enrollment, that relies on database-unique constraints so our data never gets corrupted. Heavy tasks like certificate generation get pushed to asynchronous queues so users don't have to wait, and any failed jobs are sent straight to a dead letter queue for engineers to investigate later without actually losing the request. And finally, content recommendations are wrapped in circuit breakers and fallbacks, so if the AI engine completely goes down, the homepage stays up. It is just a beautifully orchestrated defense.
So that leaves us with one final provocative question to take back to your own code bases. Ask yourself, is your system engineered for perfect conditions, or is it actually designed for reality? Because as we've seen throughout this explainer, reliability is not just a matter of luck. It's a deliberate, meticulously engineered design. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, focused learners. Keep building for reality, and I'll see you in the next explainer.